Okay, so in advance of making the persimmon white chocolate bread puddings, which I intend to do probably tomorrow, I'm just going to make some dried persimmon slices as garnish. And so I've chosen the least ripe one. That's what it looks like inside. It's quite hard. Well, it's not super hard. It's still edible. And I'm going to slice them on a mandolin. I have the oven preheated to the lowest temperature. In my case, it's 170 Fahrenheit. Some ovens will go as low as 150. And because I'm making these super thin, there's a reason for that. I'll tell you in a minute. The lowest temperature is the best. And they'll be in the oven for 4 to 8 hours, depending. So I'm just gonna carefully use the mandolin to get gorgeous slices. And then, that's what it looks like inside. You can eat the entire thing. Amazing. And I'm just gonna pick, one just went on the floor. I'm gonna pick the best ones, the most pretty ones, and place them here. This is a very easy process, and you don't really need to focus on it for 4 or 8 hours. They will just dry up if you have a fruit dehydrator, it's the same method. Okay, so that one got cut off. I prefer this. I have a different sizes to choose from, which is nice. I'm using the mandolin because my knife skills are quite good, but not that good to get so much evenness. Voila, voila, voila. That one actually is paper thin. I don't like it. Replace it. Put that one on. That's too small. I don't know. We'll see. So we'll put these all on. And the hole in the middle is, it's okay. These may actually end up with holes in the middle. And let's just see what else. Oh, well, that's why there's a hole in the middle, because I cut out the top. So let's put some of these smaller ones in. They might be fun for garnish. I think that's too thin. That's gonna crack up and turn into nothing. Anyway, so that's all you need. And, I'll probably end up with 6 or 8 bread puddings, and these might be nice garnishes. So they're going in. I'll show you when I take them out. Okay, folks, so I'm making the puree of persimmon. Just want to show you the quite sturdy one I used to make the slices for the decoration. Totally delicious. Texture like an apple. Much, much sweeter. I don't know how to describe it. But I have all these ready to puree. Excuse the mouth, talking with the mouth full. Sorry about that. But they do tend to discolor just like apples. So I'm just gonna add some lemon juice because I like the bright color. I don't need very much. And I'm just gonna show you. Normally I eat these just like this with the peel. There's no core, so you don't have to core it. And that way it's not an apple. It's not like an apple. But it has a top to be removed. Take the carrot peeler. I let these get overripe on purpose. This one's quite firm. And you just peel it off. I use this for potatoes and carrots and apples. And then the juice will come out. If you eat it straight like that, the juice ends up in your mouth, not all over your hands. Oh, let's get rid of that top. And then, you know, I only need 1.5 cups of puree, but I also, if you remember, last year I made persimmon sorbet, and I can always use more. Let's do it again. Since I have this one out, this one's a little bit mushier, which is fine. It has some bruising in it, doesn't matter. It just has that beautiful, oops, that's from the flour on top. Beautiful color, beautiful flavor, texture. It's like an apple, but these are riper than normal, and so it's like a soft apple. It's really hard to describe the flavor. Let's just say like as if an apple were tropical. And we can take that brown part out. It's not necessary. Keep it going. I don't think everyone needs to see this, but I thought it'd be interesting since many folks don't eat or don't know about persimmons from the, I forget what it's called, kaki. The kaki family of fruits, according to biological classification. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Lots more. Making puree. The lemon juice, oh, take that little bit out. Lemon juice. A little bit more lemon juice to keep the brightness of the color. You won't even taste the lemon when I'm done with this. And we just puree it. Like that. Let the machine do the work. It doesn't take long. And there you have it. You can make beautiful, can you see that? You can make beautiful sorbet out of that. And I will. But I'm also going to use 1.5 cups in my bread pudding. I'm gonna whir it up a bit more. See you later. Okay, folks, it's been 4 hours. I just wanted to see the results of the dehydration of the persimmon slices, and I didn't follow up about why I cut them so thinly. It wasn't just so that they would dehydrate quickly, but so that they would also curl up in nice patterns. To avoid curling, you would place maybe a sheet of silicone baking mat on it or something, but I actually wanted them to curl. And they're a little sticky, but they're quite dehydrated. And they're, oh, and the very thin ones are pretty too. Like banana chips, but thinner. So I'll just peel these off and let them sit overnight. Oh, turn off the oven, it's not necessary. Oh. Wow, they're really good. They turned out really nicely. I don't know if you can see, it's almost transparent. These darker ones, yeah, I don't really need them. But I have enough good ones. That's the whole thing. Make enough that they will turn out. I think that's quite nice. And I wanted them to be curly, like I said. And whatever moisture is left in them, these ones are kind of damp, but they're also not very nice. But these are. And so, wow, they feel like chips. These could be used right away. Some of these need to be out in the air overnight. So I'll leave them out at room temperature overnight, and they should be good. Thanks for watching. Okay, friends, so I'm making bread pudding a different way. This is the Persimmon bread pudding. And my second loaf of challah was kind of stale, but I toasted the almost an entire loaf with very large chunks. We could break some of them up. And for 10 minutes in an oven at, you don't need that, that's just unnecessary, 350 degrees for 10 minutes. And you see there, you can feel them, they're still a little, they're just toasty a little. There's no burning or browning. Browning wouldn't be a problem, but I have lots of crust, so it's already browned. And I'm making 10 individual ones this time. That's why I used one. Oh, see, that got nicely toasted. I'm using 1.5 pounds of my bread, which corresponds to almost an entire loaf. Put that out of the way. We want to get going with the two kinds of, what we're doing here is we're gonna make custard in a different way. So first I'm putting 2 cups of milk, and we're gonna turn that on to medium, and we're going to melt white chocolate. And so you see here I have a range. I have 6 ounces. So I have a combination of the classic white chocolate chips you get in the store, some of these wafers. I find the wafers have fillers in them, and so they don't melt easily. So I'm adding the last bits, about 1.5 ounces of 100% cocoa butter. These are not sweetened. Cocoa butter is not sweetened, but it is white, and it does come from chocolate pods. These are sweetened, and together it will be more liquidy if I add a little cocoa butter. It's food grade, not the kind you put on your body, folks. If you do that, I don't know who does that anymore. So I'm gonna get that melting. Then we're going to do 1.5 cups of my beautiful puree of persimmons, which I made the other night. 1.5 cups. See, the color's still vibrant. That's because I put an entire juice of a lemon in there. Let's see. That's not 12 ounces yet. That's 12 ounces. Okay. And I'm going to have to go get my spatula. And while I get my spatula, I'll get my sugar. This doesn't need to be sweetened much. Well, let's get the spatula going. I'm gonna get the heat going because I'm on a mission not to be up all night. Okay, and I just want to get it all out. because it's delicious flavor. You really don't need to sweeten this much. The only reason we sweeten it with sugar is because some of that chocolate isn't sweetened. So I'm going to do half a cup of sugar. You know, more or less. And we're going to heat only until the sugar is dissolved. I'm going to add some freshness here by zesting a lemon. And I'll probably put the flavor, I'll put the juice of a lemon in because, or half a lemon, probably half a lemon, because the sugar it'll just brighten it up. But also note that this is all part of the custard, and this is a different way of making custard. It's making a kind of flavored custard. And put that away, but where's my knife? Hold on. Any old knife will do. I did put the juice of an entire lemon in my puree to keep the color bright like that, but I'm not using all of the puree, and I just want to counteract some of keeping the seeds in my hand, obviously, some of that sweetness, and bring it some brightness, which will be evident when you're eating it, but you won't taste the lemon. You'll just taste a nice blended flavor. So this, I want to get rid of this little piece of puree before it burns. Okay, so both of these are going. This one only needs to cook on medium-low. We're not cooking the fruit, we're just dissolving the sugar. And you can tell because you can feel it I can feel that there's granules. Okay, so when there's no more granules, you can use your fingers, that will be done. And then we're gonna do, I'm gonna use those, I'll be using those extra large muffin pans because I like the presentation of generous circular bread puddings on the plate. This back here, back, forward, blah, blah, blah. It's hard to tell sometimes. That's just gonna let that, I don't know if you can see it, but we're gonna let that melt. It's not a normal way of melting chocolate, but if you have the milk in there to prevent it from crystallizing, you're good to go. And this actually feels pretty good. Looking for my stand here. Okay, so this is the other thing we're doing that's unusual, a little unusual, is we're going to create a little crust. Oh, sorry. We're going to create a little crust by sugaring. Well, these are buttered, obviously, well buttered. And we're going to sugar the interior. And that's a little different, but it's going to create a kind of caramelized crust on the outside. This is, I said this was a different version of bread pudding. Some of those have too much sugar. I will bang, bang, bang. I'll just tip out the excess into the sink. That looks about right. I'll do another set like this. Hold on. And, oh, that's melting. Let's just make sure we're not cooking anything here. I'm putting the front on low. I'm pretty sure that I have my zest and my lemons. That smells like persimmons with a slight citrus flavor. We've been trying to figure out how to describe persimmons. They have the texture of an apple. You can eat the skin. There's really no core to speak of. Eat the whole thing. But they kind of are, and they're tropical, and they kind of are on the verge of being like a papaya, but not stringy. So it's kind of a perfect, I don't know if that's the way to describe it, but it's better than having no description. It's a tropical apple. How's that? Anyway, so I just want to tap these around. I don't want the sugar on that's just going to burn. Tap these around, tap, tap, tap. Get rid of the excess. Those will be ready. And I'm just going to put, I like the other pan better. I'll start with the other pan. This is totally different than the other method. I'm going to put bread straight in my crusty bread, dried out, in the oven. So it's not just stale, it's actually crispy. And I'm hoping that all this deliciousness, ooh, look at that. I think that's melted. Yeah, that's melted. I see a little piece. Okay, turn both of these off. See how fast that is? I'll just leave that until all the pieces are melted and I have room. And no, I better take it off the heat. This one's off the heat. Let's see if there's any sugar. Grittiness, no grittiness. That heat's off. It wasn't on very high anyway. I'm going to continue to fill my large individual muffin pans with bread. And then I'm going to squish them down. In a minute, you'll see how the custard turns, I'm squishing them down. I don't want these spaces in here. So I'm going to continue to do this and then move on to the next stage, okay? Thank you. Okay, so we're moving on to the final stage. Penultimate stage. I added a half a cup of sugar to the milk and melted white chocolate mixture, which I didn't show you, but I did want to tell you about it because we're making a different way. It's a different way of making custard. And I would like to also note that I didn't spice it. This heater's on. I'll just have to deal with that for now, that burner. Normally you would just mix your spices in to the custard, but I'm just gonna powder cinnamon in my fingers. It'll end up being half a teaspoon, I suppose. And just so you know, I managed to get all my challah bread into 10 large muffin containers because this makes enough for 10. I previously grated the nutmeg, fresh nutmeg, and as you know, it's very strong, so you don't use very much. This will end up being half a teaspoon. But since I took all that time while watching a television program, while watching 60 Minutes, I grated the nutmeg and I'm gonna use it. There's no point in not using it since I have the actual nuts that I grate each time I need them for freshness. Hopefully this won't overpower the deliciousness of the persimmon. I don't think they will. I'll just add. It's just a different way of doing things. Now I do need to put something wooden on top of this hot burner so I don't break my lovely pan, lovely measuring bowl. And we're going to do 3 eggs in here. 1, 2, 3, and make the custard in this a little bit unusual way. And at that, oh, I need the whisk. Not very far. There's not very far to go there. So I have this. I'm gonna whisk these up, and I'm gonna. This is cooled down. It's lukewarm. Wow. I'm glad I added sugar because the white chocolate, the cocoa butter is really noticeable. It's a really noticeable flavor. Okay. Whisk that all in. Voila. By the way, I have my oven heating up to 350. It's not there yet. And then we're gonna add the, where is it? Oh, well, that means my oven's up to 10. We're gonna add the persimmon flavor, puree, and we're just gonna whisk that all together. Makes a very nice little kind of nice color. The oven's at 350. And now all you have to do is, I think I can remove the wooden thing here. We're just gonna fill these almost to the top. So they're gonna soak. You don't have to do it all at once. See how it soaks in? Just gonna keep doing that. And I have to change arms because this is heavy. Okay, keep going. See how it sinks down? That's because the bread has dried out. We're gonna keep going here. And put them in the oven. Oops, I spilled some. We're gonna put them in the oven here for 30 minutes. But in the meantime, I'm gonna top them all up because I can tell they're not getting wet enough. My standard recipe from yesterday was quite successful because you actually let the custard soak into the bread for 20 minutes. So that means, sorry for the clanging, that means I'm gonna, these will puff up obviously because of the eggs, but I do want the tops to get submerged a little more before they go in. So let's try that. I don't have to see all of this, but sometimes it's helpful to see how things are finagled rather than cut away to an advertisement. Let's finagle these. I might edit this out later, but my hands are filthy and my hands are covered in custard, so I don't think I want to touch the phone yet. Okay. I think these are all pretty good. Good to go. They're going in for 30 minutes. And I'll see you in a minute, okay? Well, I'll see you in 30 minutes. Ah, it's hot. Okay, they've been in for 33 minutes, and I don't need them to be any longer. They look and smell great. You can smell them in the living room. And you know they're pretty good. So they're gonna, looks pretty awesome. So I turn the fans on, let them cool down before I turn them out, and be back with you. So I decided to plate up one of these succulent Persimmon white chocolate babies before gets too late in the night. Just gonna place it in the bowl. And because of the flavorings, all that 1.5 cups of persimmon puree and the white chocolate in the custard, I'm just gonna, there won't be any sauce to distract. I whipped up some whipped cream here, and you know, as a accompaniment, I have one of my beautiful crisp persimmon chips, and that's how I'll serve it. Let's see if I can get a better picture. Well, you know I can take a better photo. So that's the finale.